The movie starts off with a wedding. It's all lively and fun, with everyone having a great time. The bride's parents, who are from a rich family and pretty famous, are super happy too. While everyone's enjoying a singer performing on stage, something totally unexpected happens. The bride's dad gets murdered out of nowhere. This guy named Vincent Brazil, a real pro at killing, sneaks in pretending to be a waiter and does the deed. After that, he makes a quick getaway. The security guys catch wind of the situation and start chasing Vincent. He dashes towards the kitchen, and some of the guards catch up and try to fight him off. But Vincent is like a superhero, easily beats them up, and strolls right out of the house, acting like nothing's wrong. Once he's done, he heads back to his apartment. Now, in another part of town, there's this ex-assassin called Roland Flint. He's taking care of his wife, Anna, who's in a coma because of a run-in with a big drug boss. On top of that, he's got some crooked cops after him. These cops are out to get him because he spilled the beans about their dirty deeds. Now the story takes us to another part of the tale. There's this big shot at Interpol named Wilson Herod, and boy, is he mad. He's chewing out two of his underlings because their shady stuff got out in the open thanks to Flint. Turns out, not only did Flint spill the beans about their dirty deeds, but he also got his hands on their ill-gotten gains. So, Wilson and his crew are all fired up to track him down and get their dirty money back. One of Wilson's guys, named Godfrey, comes up with an idea. He tells Wilson that they should try to lure Flint out of hiding. Another one of Wilson's pals, Shell, quickly suggests they use this Polo Yacker dude, a drug lord who messed up Flint's wife and put her in a coma. Wilson and his crew plan to bust Polo out of prison because they know Flint's itching for revenge against him. Skipping ahead a bit, there's this lady, Mrs. Pavlescu, who owns the motel where Flint's been holed up. She lets Flint know there's a guy who wants to meet him. So Flint hops in his car, rushes to meet this guy, and even sticks a gun in the guy's face, demanding to know what he wants. This dude, Cully, introduces himself and says he wants to hire Flint to off Polo Yacker, who's about to get out of jail. He sweetens the deal with $1 million if Flint pulls it off, but Flint smells something fishy and turns it down, saying he's done with that assassin stuff. Meanwhile, there's Vincent, chilling at an antique shop, meeting up with this dude Nalbandian. Vincent had just wrapped up a job and is there to get paid. Nalbandian, though, has another gig for him, take out Polo Yacker. And get this, he's offering a bag of diamonds worth $500,000 for the job. Vincent's interest is piqued, and he decides to go for it. So, after all that action, Vincent heads back to his apartment. And guess what? His neighbor's there waiting, a lady named October. Turns out, October's a prostitute, and she's hanging out with her pimp, Daniel. They chat a bit before Vincent goes inside his place and hides away the diamond that Nalbandian gave him in advance. Somewhere else, Polo finally gets out of jail after a pretty short stint, and that's when Flint, his arch-enemy, starts thinking about the past. Polo and his gang once busted into Flint's house, tortured his wife right in front of him. Flint can't shake off that memory, and he decides to take up Cully's offer. Flint gives Cully a call, but here's the twist. Cully says the job's already been taken by someone else, Vincent, the same guy who lives next to him. But get this, Flint's not after the reward anymore. He just wants to know where Polo is. Cully's not exactly thrilled at first, since he's all about revenge. But when Flint spills the story about what happened to his wife, Cully's on board. He even hands Flint a sniper rifle, the same kind he used to use for his hits. Before he gets his payback, Flint sets up a hidden camera in Anna's room and asks Mrs. Pavlescu to watch over her for a bit. The next day rolls in, and Nalbandian tells Vincent that Polo's gonna be at his younger brother, Danzo's, trial. So Vincent starts cooking up a plan to take out Polo right there and then. Flint's got the same scoop from Cully. He's got his sniper rifle all set up, aimed right at the courthouse, ready to pop Polo. So Polo and Danzo finally step out of the courthouse, and Flint takes his shot, but dang it, he misses Polo and hits Vincent's van instead. The whole thing goes nuts. Vincent's shot at Polo goes awry too, and ends up hitting Danzo. Flint doesn't care, and he dashes into the streets, dead set on facing Polo head-on and finishing him off. but Godfrey and Shell, those dudes who've got it out for Flint, shoot him out of nowhere. Those guys were lurking near the courthouse, waiting for the right moment. Cops start showing up too, thanks to the gunshots. But Flint somehow gets back on his feet, bolts out of there before the police can grab him. Godfrey and Shell, they're no dummies, they scram too, setting fire to the car to erase their tracks. Meanwhile, Polo's crushed over Danzo's death. He's hurting bad. He tells his gang to dig up who's behind the shooting. He's all fired up to get revenge for his brother's death. Somewhere else, Flint's nursing a gunshot wound on his arm, and guess who's helping him out? Cully. Meanwhile, back at Vincent's apartment, he's seriously ticked off by the ruckus Daniel's causing while roughing up October, his neighbor. Annoyed to the max, Vincent takes matters into his own hands and gives Daniel a good beating, kicking him out. He then asks October to hang out in his apartment for a bit since Daniel locked her out of hers and took the key. Vincent's nice enough to let her crash, but he's got rules. She better not mess with his stuff. Vincent's phone rings and it's Nalbandian, telling him to wrap up his job ASAP, cause their client's pushing for it. Nalbandian also spills the beans about where Polo's at right now, so Vincent jets off to that location, leaving October behind. Meanwhile, Flint's beaten Vincent to the punch and taken out Polo's henchmen who were guarding the place. He sneaks into the building, trying to track down Polo, but Vincent bumps on the scene. A huge fight kicks off between these two seasoned assassins, guns blazing and all, but eventually they both end up pointing their weapons at each other, realizing they're basically cut from the same cloth. Flint spills the beans about wanting to take out Polo for what he did to his wife, how he left her in a coma. He's not asking for anything in return, just justice. Vincent gets it. He sees they're after the same thing, Polo's head on a platter. So they decide to team up, a killer alliance. It's a win-win situation. Flint gets his revenge, Vincent gets his paycheck. Plus, they're both experts at the murder game, so Polo and his gang better watch out. Not long after, Flint and Vincent headed to Ceda's arms dealer dude named Bartok. He was in cahoots with Polo. Flint gets all tough, sticking a gun at Bartok and forcing him to spill the beans about where Polo's at. Vincent, though, takes things a step further and shoots Bartok dead. That didn't sit well with Flint, who's all about only taking out Polo. Vincent's got an idea, though. He suggests they nab a bunch of weapons, including this fancy new laser rifle from Bartok's stash. That way, the whole thing could look like a regular old robbery. On another note, Polo's finally in the loop about who offed his little brother. Yep, Vincent. So he gives the order to his gang. Find Vincent and wipe him off the map. Meanwhile, Vincent's back at his apartment, tending to October's back, which got whipped real bad. They have a heart-to-heart talk that brings them closer. Now Cully, who set up the whole Polo job for Flint, finds out that Flint's teaming up with Vincent, a top-notch hitman. Cully suggests Flint should just back off and let Vincent handle Polo solo. But Flint's got a bigger plan. He's not just after Polo. He wants payback against Wilson and his cronies too, those dirty cops. Flint knows they won't stop till they get their money back. So he sneaks into Wilson's crib, threatens him and his family, telling them to back off or else. The very next day, Wilson's absolutely fuming. He's all riled up because Flint had the guts to sneak into his house and put threats on him. So he barks orders at Godfrey and Shell. They're supposed to take Flint down within 2 days. Polo and his gang catch wind that Nalbandian knows about Vincent. So Godfrey and Shell team up with their crew and offer Polo a deal. They want to work together to catch Flint and end him. They promise Polo a lifetime of immunity if he helps them get rid of Flint. Polo doesn't waste any time. He agrees, but he wants to know where Vincent is. Nalbandian pipes up, saying he'll spill the beans about Vincent's location if Polo pays up. Skipping some details, Polo and his crew nab Cully, the guy who was scouting things out. They torture him for info on Flint and then off him. Meanwhile, Nalbandian hits Vincent up with a proposition. He wants Vincent to help set a trap for Flint at City Hall. They plan to use Polo as bait to lure Flint out of hiding. Nalbandian's even willing to cough up 3 times the regular reward to get Vincent on board. Vincent mulls it over and eventually agrees. So Vincent gets in touch with Flint. He spills the beans that Polo's gonna be at City Hall the next day and asks Flint to come along to take Polo out together. But wait, there's more drama. Remember Daniel, the guy Vincent roughed up? He's got a grudge and rats out Vincent's address to Polo. So, the next day comes around and Flint and Vincent are all set to carry out their plans, each in their own spot. But just as Flint's getting ready to take a shot at Polo, he gets blindsided. Out of nowhere, Polo's gang jumps him, helped out by some shady Interpol guys in on the scheme to get rid of Flint. Flint's on his own, and it's a tough fight. He's fighting like mad, but they get the upper hand and paralyze him. And there, as they're about to haul him off, Flint locks eyes with Vincent, the guy who double-crossed him for his own gain. Meanwhile, Vincent's done Nalbandian's bidding and is on his way to get paid. But then, a call comes in. It's Polo, chilling in Vincent's apartment, holding October hostage. Vincent's racing against the clock now, heading back home. When he gets there, though, October's lying motionless on his bed. There's no sign of Polo. Vincent's furious. He goes back to Nalbandian and hands back the money. He's not after cash anymore. He wants to know where those crooked Interpol guys are keeping Flint. Now, in some abandoned factory, Godfrey and Shell are giving Flint a real hard time. They're torturing him for info about the money he took. Flint's not letting them get to him, though. He tells them he's blown it all. That ticks them off big time. They're ready to kill him, but just in the nick of time, Vincent storms in, guns blazing. He takes out Godfrey and his crew. Vincent comes clean with Flint, apologizing for setting him up and promising to help him get back at Polo for his mistake. Flint's forgiving. He's not holding a grudge. He understands. And Flint's got another worry. Polo might be gunning for Anna. He rings up Mrs. Pavlescu, begging her to get Anna out of there. But Polo and his gang get there first and kill Mrs. Pavlescu without a second thought. Flint realizes what happened and tells Vincent to get over to his place pronto. So, the next morning rolls in, and Flint's place is where it's all going down. They start checking things out, making a plan before they dive into the action. Not too long after, Flint gets this video from Polo. It shows Polo's got Anna hostage, and Polo's got demands. Flint's got to give himself up in 15 minutes, or Anna's toast. No way around it, they had to surrender to Polo and his heavily armed gang. Polo tells his crew to take out Flint and Vincent, but these two aren't going down without a fight. They've got a trick up their sleeves, a remote-controlled laser rifle from Bartok's stash. Flint works his magic, controlling the rifle to take out Polo's crew, while Vincent handles the rest. After a fierce showdown, Flint corners Polo with a dagger and makes him apologize to Anna before ending him. A little while later, Vincent deals with Daniel, that guy who ratted him out to Polo. Because of Daniel, October paid the price with her life. Flint, on the other hand, has been planning. Armed with his sniper rifle, he carries out his own kind of justice, taking down Wilson, the corrupt big shot. The movie comes to an end with Vincent lighting candles in memory of October. Though their time was short, her loss hits him hard, and he blames himself for what happened. The moral of the story is don't crash weddings, chase vengeance, and join assassin alliances unless you're ready for a twisted plot and more drama than a soap opera.